Have you ever done something every single morning because you believed it was healthy, only to find out it might be quietly harming you? What if I told you that one of the most recommended fruits in America, something you've probably eaten since childhood, could become a silent trigger for kidney damage if you're over 50 living with diabetes or even just borderline high blood sugar? I'm not here to scare you. I'm here because I've seen this happen in real life. Last month in my clinic, a 62-year-old patient, disciplined, health-conscious, doing everything right, walked in holding lab results with trembling hands. Her creatinine had spiked, her kidney function had slipped, and the only thing she had changed, she started eating apples every day because she read they were doctor-approved. Now listen carefully, apples are not poison, they are not the enemy. But when eaten the wrong way, at the wrong time, in the wrong amount, they can place hidden stress on aging kidneys that are already working overtime. And the most dangerous part, you won't feel it happening. Kidney decline doesn't come with flashing warning lights. It creeps in quietly, until one day it doesn't. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how a food that's praised across America can either protect your kidneys or slowly overload them, and the 5 critical mistakes that turn something healthy into something harmful. More importantly, I'll give you a clear, simple strategy you can apply immediately so you can enjoy this fruit safely without putting your kidneys at risk. Because this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether your daily habit is helping your kidneys or pushing them closer to trouble without you even realizing it. The first mistake is small, almost invisible, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Eating apple seeds, or worse, blending the entire core into smoothies, seems harmless. Some people even believe seeds are natural medicine. But here's what most Americans don't realize: apple seeds contain a compound called amygdalin. On its own, it looks innocent, but when crushed or chewed, amygdalin can release small amounts of cyanide in the digestive tract. Yes, cyanide. Not enough to cause immediate collapse, but enough to create repeated low-level toxic stress over time. And when kidneys are already aging, already filtering excess glucose, already under silent strain from insulin resistance, even small toxic exposures add up. I remember a patient, retired school teacher, disciplined, careful, always blending whole fruit smoothies because she didn't want to waste nutrients. When we reviewed her diet, she proudly told me she never threw away the core. It's natural, she said. But here's the science. Research from food toxicology journals confirms that when apple seeds are crushed, enzymatic reactions can convert amygdalin into hydrogen cyanide. The body detoxifies tiny amounts through the liver, but the kidneys still bear part of the burden during filtration. In healthy young adults, this isn't dramatic. In someone over 55 with early-stage kidney stress, it becomes cumulative load. Think of your kidneys like a high-efficiency water filter. If the filter is brand new, it handles impurities easily. But if the filter is already worn, every extra particle accelerates breakdown. Chronic mycotoxin exposure doesn't show up as pain. It shows up months later as creeping creatinine numbers. And here's the part that should make you pause. Most people doing this believe they are being healthier than everyone else. Now let me ask you directly, have you ever blended apples whole to get all the nutrients? Have you ever chewed the core absent-mindedly while watching TV? Be honest in the comments. Because awareness is step 1, and I read them all. The solution is simple, but precision matters. Slice the apple. Remove the core completely. Do not crush or blend the seeds. If you juice or puree, discard the center first. This isn't about fear, it's about reducing unnecessary stress on an organ that does not regenerate easily. Protecting kidney function is often about eliminating the small repeated insults no one talks about. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another habit far more common in American kitchens that overloads your kidneys faster than apple seeds ever could. And most people drink it every single morning without hesitation. Now let's talk about the mistake that's far more common and far more damaging in real life. Apple juice. It looks clean. It feels light. It's marketed as heart healthy, immune boosting, even doctor recommended. But when you remove the fiber from an apple, you remove the brake system that protects your blood sugar and your kidneys. What's left is concentrated fructose and glucose that enter your bloodstream fast. And fast spikes are what silently exhaust aging kidneys. I had a patient in his late 50s, former athlete, still active, no obvious health crisis. He replaced soda with fresh pressed apple juice every morning because he thought he was upgrading his health. Within 6 months, his fasting glucose crept up, his post-meal numbers spiked higher than expected, and his lab results showed early signs of kidney stress. He was shocked. "It's just fruit," he told me. But that's exactly the trap. Here's the science. A whole apple has soluble fiber, especially pectin, which slows gastric emptying and moderates glucose absorption. The glycemic index of a whole apple sits around 36 to 40, relatively low, but when juiced, the fiber is stripped away. Studies in metabolic research show that liquid carbohydrates produce a faster glucose and insulin response compared to solid forms of the same food. In simple terms, drinking sugar hits harder than chewing it, and when blood sugar surges, insulin surges. When insulin surges, the kidneys are pushed to filter more glucose from the bloodstream. Over time, repeated spikes accelerate glomerular strain, especially in adults over 50. Think of it like this: when you eat a whole apple, your body walks uphill slowly. When you drink apple juice, it sprints uphill, heart-racing systems overloaded. And kidneys hate metabolic chaos. They prefer steady, predictable flow, not spikes. If you're drinking apple juice right now thinking it's safer than soda, pause. This may be the quiet switch that's working against you. And I want you to comment, honestly, do you drink juice because it feels easier than chewing? You're not alone. But ease is not the same as safety. The fix is powerful and simple. Eat the apple whole. Chew it slowly. Mechanical chewing activates salivary enzymes and slows intake. If your teeth are weak, slice it thin or lightly steam it, but keep the fiber intact. Fiber is not decoration, it is metabolic armor. And here's where it gets even more concerning. Juice spikes blood sugar quickly, but there's a timing mistake that can double that spike without you even realizing it. And this next habit is something millions of Americans do after dinner every single night. But just knowing this about juice isn't enough, because there is another factor even more dangerous. And it has everything to do with when you eat your apple. Here's where things become even more deceptive, because this mistake doesn't look unhealthy at all. In fact, it feels normal, almost comforting. Eating an apple right after a meal. Dinner ends. Plates are cleared. Someone slices fruit and sets it in the middle of the table. It feels wholesome, balanced, better than dessert, right? But metabolically, this is where the damage can quietly double. When you finish a full meal, carbohydrates, protein, fats, your stomach is already full, and your digestive system is working at capacity. Glucose from rice bread, pasta, or potatoes is already entering your bloodstream. Insulin is already rising. Now imagine adding an apple on top of that. Even though apples have a low glycemic index on their own, stacking them on top of an active glucose load changes the equation completely. I once reviewed continuous glucose monitor data from a 61-year-old patient who insisted fruit was harmless. When he ate an apple as a mid-morning snack, his blood sugar rose moderately and returned to baseline smoothly. But when he ate the same apple immediately after dinner, his glucose spiked nearly 40 to 50 milligrams per deciliter higher and stayed elevated longer. Same apple, different timing, completely different metabolic impact. Here's the physiology. When the stomach is already full, fruit sugars sit longer before moving through digestion. Meanwhile, carbohydrates from the main meal are still being absorbed. The result is what I call a double wave spike: glucose from the meal plus fructose from the fruit overlapping in the bloodstream. Research in metabolic health shows that prolonged post-meal hyperglycemia increases oxidative stress and damages small blood vessels, including the delicate microvasculature inside your kidneys. And kidney damage doesn't require extreme spikes. It requires repeated ones. Think of your bloodstream like highway traffic. After a meal, it's rush hour. Adding fruit immediately afterward is like opening another freeway entrance during peak congestion. The system doesn't crash instantly, it just strains. Over time, that strain becomes wear and tear on the filtration units that keep you alive. Let me ask you something directly. Do you eat fruit because it feels like the healthy dessert? Have you ever noticed feeling bloated or unusually sleepy afterward? Pay attention. Your body often whispers before it screams. The solution isn't to eliminate apples, it's to separate them. Eat them as a standalone snack at least 2 to 3 hours after a main meal, when insulin levels have settled and digestion has cleared. In that metabolic window, apples can stabilize blood sugar instead of stacking on top of it. Timing transforms impact. But even spacing your fruit correctly isn't the whole story, because for people with early kidney decline, there's another silent variable that doesn't show up in taste, and it can affect your heart rhythm if ignored. And this next factor is rarely discussed, but it matters more than most people realize. Now we need to talk about something most people never think about when they bite into an apple: potassium. It doesn't taste salty. It doesn't taste sweet. You can't see it. But for someone with reduced kidney function, potassium is not a small detail. It can be the tipping point. A medium apple contains roughly 180 to 200 milligrams of potassium. For a healthy 30-year-old with strong kidney filtration, that's not a problem. The kidneys simply excrete the excess. But for someone over 55 with early-stage chronic kidney disease, even stage 3 potassium clearance is no longer efficient. And here's the issue: potassium doesn't just build up quietly. When it rises too high in the blood, it interferes with electrical signaling in the heart. I once had a patient who believed fruit was always safe because it was natural. He had moderate kidney decline but wasn't yet on dialysis. He began increasing fruit intake to clean up his diet. Within months, his labs showed elevated serum potassium. He didn't feel dramatic symptoms, just occasional palpitations and mild fatigue. But high potassium can cause arrhythmias. In severe cases, it can lead to cardiac arrest. And the frightening part, many people feel nothing until levels are dangerously high. Clinical guidelines for chronic kidney disease emphasize potassium monitoring because once filtration drops below a certain threshold, the kidneys cannot adapt the way they used to. Think of potassium like water behind a dam. When the gate works, the flow is controlled. When the gate rusts, the water rises silently. By the time you notice flooding, it's already serious. Now pause for a moment. Do you know your last potassium level? Most people track cholesterol. Very few track potassium, yet for kidney health, it's just as critical. And this is where precision matters. 1 apple per day may be reasonable in early kidney decline. Half an apple may be safer in moderate CKD. In advanced stages, even that may require supervision. It's not about fear, it's about dosage. Kidneys lose margin for error as they age. But here's the twist: even if you control portion size perfectly, even if you space fruit away from meals, even if you avoid juice and discard the seeds, there's one final mistake that most people make every single day when preparing an apple. And ironically, they do it to make the fruit safer. But just knowing this isn't enough, because the last factor may be the one that determines whether your kidneys age slowly or decline faster than you expect. And now we arrive at the mistake almost everyone makes, not out of ignorance, but out of fear: peeling the apple. It feels responsible. You're worried about pesticides, wax chemicals. So you strip the skin completely and eat the pale flesh inside, convinced you've made it safer. But here's what most people don't realize: the peel is where the protective compounds live. When you remove it, you're not just removing residue, you're removing metabolic protection. Apple skin contains quercetin, one of the most studied plant flavonoids for its anti-inflammatory and vascular protective effects. In aging adults, especially those with diabetes or early kidney stress, inflammation inside tiny blood vessels is one of the main drivers of kidney decline. The glomeruli, the microscopic filters inside your kidneys, rely on healthy microcirculation. Chronic inflammation damages that lining slowly, silently, year after year. Research published in nutritional biochemistry journals has shown that quercetin can reduce oxidative stress markers and support endothelial function. In simple terms, it helps protect the delicate blood vessel walls that keep filtration efficient. I once had a patient who was meticulous about avoiding chemicals. She peeled every apple for years. When we reviewed her habits, I suggested properly washing and keeping the skin. Within months, alongside other changes, her inflammatory markers improved. Was it only the apple skin? Of course not. But nutrition works in layers. Remove enough protective layers, and the body loses resilience. Think of the peel as a shield. The flesh gives you hydration and mild sugars. The peel gives you defense. When you peel it off, you're keeping the fuel and discarding the armor. And aging kidneys need armor more than fuel. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring food safety. It means washing thoroughly, choosing quality sources when possible, and preserving the part of the fruit that carries the highest concentration of antioxidants. Protection is not about stripping things away blindly. It's about understanding what truly matters. And here's the reality check. If you've been eating apple seeds, drinking juice, stacking fruit after meals, ignoring potassium levels, and peeling the skin, you haven't just made one small mistake. You've created a pattern of hidden strain. But the good news is this patterns can be reversed. Because understanding these 5 mistakes isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to give you control. And in the final part of this conversation, I'm going to show you how small corrections can shift the trajectory of your kidney health before it reaches a point you can't undo. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this: your kidneys are not fragile, but they are faithful. They work for you 24 hours a day, filtering, balancing, protecting your body in silence. And most of the time, they don't ask for much. Just consistency, just awareness, just a few smarter choices repeated daily. This isn't about eliminating apples. It's about respecting how your body changes with age. Remove the seeds, skip the juice, separate fruit from heavy meals. Watch your potassium if your kidney function isn't what it used to be. Keep the peel when it's properly washed. These are small corrections, but small corrections done consistently can protect kidney function for years. And if this information helped you, don't just watch and forget it. Save this video. You may not need it today, but you or someone you love might need it 6 months from now. Kidney damage develops quietly. The more informed you are, the more power you have to prevent it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Every week I share practical science-backed medical insights designed to help you protect your kidneys, manage blood sugar, and age stronger, not weaker. No hype, no fear, just clear information you can actually use. Your health is not defined by one lab result. It's shaped by the habits you choose starting today. And the fact that you're here learning, paying attention, that already tells me you care. That matters. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis. Take care of your kidneys and they will take care of you. I'll see you in the next video.